All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you with a fight review. So we're going to London, England for Bellator 281. We're going to the prelims in the Flyweight division. Kate Jackson coming in at 11-5, taking on Elina Kallionidou coming in at 8-4. This is going to be an interesting fight because this was Jackson's first fight since October 2020. So it's been about a year and a half since she last fought. Whereas Kallionidou coming in off of her first win for Bellator. I believe she was 0-2 before that, and then picked up a win. It was either earlier this year or late last year. So interesting to see both of them back in the cage. So let's get into it. So the first round, Elina tagged Jackson with punches early. Jackson closed for a takedown. Elina was able to reverse it though, ending up in Jackson's half guard. From there, Jackson, she scrambled to stand. Tried to use the body lock to take Elina down again, but Elina attacked straight for the knee bar, and then after the knee bar, she couldn't hit the knee bar, transitioned to a heel hook. But unfortunately, when you go for those low probability submission leg locks, it allowed Jackson to get on top. She then used some GMP to pass to side control pretty nicely. But Elina was able to recover to half guard from there. And then she really did a real nice sweep, just straight up muscled her way through a sweep to get on top. Now Jackson scrambled to get top control, so she kind of reversed it again and was able to get to north-south to end the round. So some nice grappling scrambles there. Not so much, didn't get a whole lot of time on the feet, but some really nice grappling action with some back and forth work going on there. So they started the second round. And Elina, she started landing some good punching combos. Jackson tried to work in some low kicks. And then Jackson was able to duck under a right-hand punch for a double leg takedown. And then from there, Jackson tried to take the back, but then, excuse me, Elina, real quick in the scramble there, ended up that Elina on top and Jackson on bottom. Now, from there, Jackson got her feet in, got the butterfly hooks, and then, turned her feet and really pushed off with her legs, got Elina off of her, and managed to get on top in a scramble. From there, she was able to pass to mount, and it looked like Kallionidou was in trouble. But Kallionidou, again, she swept to reverse from mount. She was mounted, swept to reverse from the mount, and stood up. At this point, Jackson, she was starting to look tired. And Elina, she just kept throwing punches, just kept throwing her combos, two punch combos, 3-punch combinations, doing some nice work from there. Jackson shot again, didn't get it the first try, but kept at it, chained another takedown, and got Elina down on the second try. And then Kallionidou, again, third time in the fight, reversed, got on top. This time it was Jackson's turn to attack the legs. From there, Elina stood and started dropping punches to Jackson, who was still on the ground. Then Elina started just landing these big shots from on top. I mean, just started big shots. From there, she smelled blood. She got down on the ground with Jackson and started pouring it on. Jackson was unable to really defend, just covering up. And the referee saw enough, and he decided to stop it. 4 minutes, 53 seconds of the second round for your winner by TKO, Elina Kallionidou. I gotta admit, Kallionidou impressed me here. She started out as one of those fighters that Bellator just seemed to bring in to try to build up other fighters, and got a second win in a row, and looked impressive doing it. Really nice improvements by Kallionidou. Her punching combinations are money. Plus, I don't know what she's doing in the gym, but man, she just seems stronger. She's able to deliver those punches. When she throws, she's able to deliver with power. You could see her from the back, man, her traps and her shoulders and stuff, just really powerful looking. So she's got those combinations. She's upped her strength and conditioning, and just a bunch of improvements there from her. And she finally seems to be putting everything together. Now, she still needs work. but she's putting it together. And she's only 23 and started fighting young. So she started fighting really probably earlier than she should have. So it's taken her a few years, but she's putting it together, but she's still only 23 years old. And, you know, I mentioned that punching power. It just seems devastating now. She was always a decent puncher, but not like this. Now, when she throws, she's hurting people. On the other hand, Kate Jackson, she seemed tired after the first round, and especially about midway through the second, just seemed completely winded. And it might have been a long layoff. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe she just was exerting herself or overexerting herself with the takedowns. It's hard to say, but she just seemed really winded out there as the fight wore on and that second round wore on. One thing, you know, the Jackson was pretty highly ranked for a while. Looks like she was removed probably for inactivity before taking this fight. But you got to ask a question. Was someone who was previously ranked for Kallionidou beating her? Will this allow Kallionidou to sneak into the Bellator top 10 rankings? It's hard to argue. I mean, she's had 2 impressive wins like recently. And you look at some of the fighters in the top 10 and you're like, why are they still ranked? They're not winning. They're not fighting. I wouldn't have a problem with them putting her, you know, somewhere towards the bottom of their top 10. And, you know, the flyweight division, it keeps getting interesting in Bellator. Like, for a while, it just seems kind of stagnant. Like, the fighters weren't, I mean, granted, COVID didn't help with things. But, I mean, that division just seemed to stagnate. And then suddenly, over the last few months, this division is getting rolling. And it's getting exciting. And we're seeing some new blood. Bellator needs to keep this division going. Keep it moving, I mean. And just keep building on the momentum that they already have going for it. So let's talk things to work on. For Kallionidou, needs to work on her takedown defense. I mean, Jackson got a takedown almost every time she tried. So really, Kallionidou particularly needs to work on her sprawl. Because Jackson just kept going for the double legs every time. Usually you can stop that with a simple sprawl, but also you've got to know, you've got to be able to time those takedown attempts from your opponent. It just takes practice and practice and practice so that you can start to see them coming ahead of time and then notice. Get out there, get your legs out behind you and sprawl. For Jackson, her cardio needs some work. But also, she seemed gun shy. Even the commentators mentioned that she seemed a little gun shy. Now, you can work on the former. You can work on cardio. You can improve that just through working out and doing more strength and conditioning work. But being gun shy, that's a little harder because that's a mental thing. That's something you got to really just kind of like fight through to get past. It's not easy, and it's going to take some work. It might take a lot of sparring, maybe some hard sparring to get through it, or maybe she'll have to go see like a sports psychologist. I'm not sure, but that she's got to work on that, because if you can't get past being gun shy, it's just going to make it very easy for your opponents. Now, for fights to make, sticking with Kate Jackson, match her up with Desiree Yanez, because both fighters need a win. But also for Jackson, Yanez is scrappy, but she doesn't have Kallionidou's power. So she's scrappy, she likes to throw, but there's less risk of getting hurt by one of her punches. So I think that'll be a good recovery match for Jackson. And for Yanez, you know, Jackson's still a little bit of a name for Bellator, so if she can get the win, then that works out for her as well. For Kallionidou, I'd like to see her fight Vita Ortega. They have similar records. Both have exciting styles. Both like to throw. And both are just very tough. Now, Ortega, she's ranked, I think, like just outside the top 5. So she's ranked. But if you ask me, I think she's a little too highly ranked. But if you give Kallionidou a matchup like Vita Ortega, a winnable fight with similar records, then it'll allow her to really get into that top 10 and get those 3 wins in a row and really get going in this division. So anyway, those are my thoughts on this bout. Elina Kallionidou defeats Kate Jackson via TKO, 4:53 of the second round. Nice finish for her there. Let me know your thoughts on the bout in the comments down below. I'll put a link up in the description in the comments. Go watch it, come back to me, let me know your thoughts. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.